Hi everyone, welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Lene Gehrig, and today I am so excited. We're bringing you new paper cut collection fairy edgers from our friends at Creative Expressions. Debbie and I have made some really special cards, so I can't wait to show you. Come play with us. This first card uses the fairy door edger, which is one of my favorites. It has two fairies and the little secret door right there in the side of a tree. You can see the die is one piece. This particular die is 6 3/4 inches long. The collection of fairy dies are a little bit longer than the last two collections that we had. They were 6 inches long, and these go from about 6 3/4 to 7 inches long. And I think that's because they're much more elaborate and much more detailed. They wanted more design space. So I'm going to show you, after we go over this card, how to accommodate that for your particular paper cutter. But first, let's get right into how this particular card was put together. So as you can see, I did a little bit of paper piecing here. So I started off with just some die cutting the image from some craft cardstock. All right, so I just took a rectangle of craft cardstock, placed my die over it, ran it through any machine, and came up with this image. And then since it's a little bit longer, I went ahead and just clipped my cardstock. Go. Get rid of that piece. All right. So then to do my paper piecing, I did the same thing again, but this time from it's a light aqua paper that's from Country Chic paperback from hot off the press. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut out elements from that and then glue them directly onto the first image here. So I want to cut my fairy house out. I'm just taking my little miniature scissors. These are great little things to have. They're from Crafter's Companion. You can get these at Paper Wishes. So you just go ahead and clip off any of the places where it's connecting to the overall image. Sometimes you kind of have to use your imagination to make some images connect. This particular one was really easy. All right, so then I would just glue that right over the top of the first image. Oops. Just aligning those images. Wow, I'm really off. There we go. All right, and then there's also some fairy wings that I want to cut off here. Like that. And then Houston, if you can zoom in for me a little bit, this little part is kind of attached to the fairy's hair. So to accommodate that, you just went along the edge, sort of going along the edge of the wing. Like, whoops, like that. And there's a little notch there, you can just trim that off. All right. Then you just put that right there and align that over the other cardstock wing. And then I did the same with these little flowers here, but on the lantern, when I cut that out and before I glued it down, I just used a little bit of this Cosmic Shimmer Luna paste, and it's really, really shiny and glimmery. And this one is Moonlight Pearl. Got wonderful sparkle to that. And so what I did was I went ahead and once this was glued down on the dark brown cardstock, I just filled in these little windows with a little bit of that paste and then went ahead and glued the light aqua one right over the top of that after it dried. So once I got my paper piecing done here, then I just added some sparklets, and I just love these aqua half pearl ones, and this is from the Aloha collection from Sparklets. And added a little greeting here also from Creative Expressions. So that one was really easy to put together. So let me show you some of the differences in how you can accommodate using these little bit longer cutters with your particular machine. So I have a card here, and it's 6 1/2 inches long, okay? And this particular die is 6 3/4 of an inch, so it's going to just trim off a little bit here at the top and the bottom, but nothing of significance. I mean, you can make your card wider if you'd like. So I went ahead and I aligned that so everything that's to the right of this edger is going to cut away. So I like to take a little piece of low-tack tape and attach that so that the stencil's not moving around, and I attached it to the portion of the paper that's going to be cut away anyway. So even if it does get a little too sticky when it's compressed, it doesn't matter, that's the piece I'm not using. Okay, so then when I have it this way, I'm going to run it through my machine, but because it's so wide, I need a machine that has a wider platform. So I'm using the Gemini machine, which has a 9-inch wide platform, okay? But if you don't have the Gemini machine, I can show you how to accommodate that. So going through the Gemini machine, that's how I got this particular edge. Here we go. Okay. Now, as I said, if you don't have that machine, there's other things that you can do. I like using the Big Shot machine. That's the one I have at home. So, like on this card, I'm going to show you how I did, once again, just this technique where I went ahead and I just cut away part of the image just from some cardstock. Then I took the same card, okay, so here's my folded card, and I just cut away the front of the card, okay, so I still have this little fold left over from the front, all right. I took what was cut away and I used that to die cut it and ran it through my Big Shot machine the long way, like this. And then I went ahead and I can just come back and glue that right over that tiny little edge, and no one would ever know that I didn't put it through this way on my wider machine. Okay, so that's another way you can accommodate that. Then you can also, if you have a Big Shot or a Gemini Junior, which is also, they're both 6-inch wide platforms, okay? So you could also put it on your card like this, all right? Wrap the card like this, run it through your machine, but you're going to have some impressions made on the back side of your card, okay? So I don't know about you, but that's not something I really want my card recipient to see. So I'm just going to take a sheet of cardstock and glue that on the inside, and then it looks perfectly normal. Everything is fine. There's no indentation there. So that's another technique for using a more narrow machine like the Big Shot or the Gemini Junior. All right, and then finally, the last one would be to just take the die, place it over a piece of a rectangle of cardstock, run it through your more 6-inch wide platform, and then just take that and glue it to a card front like this. Okay, so there's lots of different ways. It really doesn't matter what format of die cutting and embossing machine you have. You can absolutely use these cutters. So I just wanted to review that so nobody was alarmed at the change there. All right, so let's look at another card. All right, here is a sweet little card that uses the Toadstool Dance Edger. And I love this one. It is so whimsical. And on this one, I did some paper piecing as well. But not only did I do the paper piecing on top, but also I did some on the back. So I glued some paper, like for this particular mushroom, I glued some from the back here so that it could also be covered and not just have a white space. However, when I did that, this is what it looks like on the inside. It's not really pretty. You know, you've got all of these little glued pieces there. So to accommodate that, I would just take a piece of cardstock, and then I'm going to remove my bow here because I would put that on afterwards. So what I would do is just take some of my glue, my Cosmic Shimmer glue, and just put some dots on these fine little detail spaces. Oops, I just dripped some glue. Okay. And then put this right here. Close the card. And then once that's all nice and dry and everything is connected, Okay, so then the inside of your card is all nice and tidy, and you've paper pieced from the back side of the die cut image as well. Ooh, I dropped some glue everywhere here. All right, so also on these wings, I once again used the Luna paste, and as you can see, you can just lift these wings up to give them some dimension. Having that paste on there makes them a little bit more reinforced, and they just really sparkle and shimmer. So that was a fun thing to use on that particular one. Okay, let's look at another card. There we go. All right, so this particular cutting die, the Bluebell Fairy Edger. Okay, there we go. Here I did some painting on my image. Let me grab this particular edger. And what I did with that was I just took a paintbrush, just a fine tip, and I used some of the luster polish. And what is wonderful about this luster polish is just the way that it coats. And I'll just go back over this a little bit. It has a little bit of a shimmer. So I just went ahead and used this on this daisy. Whoa, I'm using the wrong one. Here we go. How many of you noticed that before I did? This is the Daisy Fairy Edger. And I used my Luna paste right on here. And it just picked up that wonderful shimmer. So on this particular one, I used, this is the Lemon Sherbet Luna paste. And also the Blue Parakeet. And this is Opal Polished Blushed Peach. So I used all three of these colors, as well as the Luna paste. This one is the Moonlight Pearl. And it just really gave a really fun effect. This background paper is Seaside Revised paper pack from hot off the press. I love that it had the little bit of netting here, and this was the map paper actually put behind it. Had a little bit of a Peter Pan feel to me. All right, so let's look at another card. Whoa, okay, here's the Bluebell. There we go. So this is a fabulous card that Debbie made. For this one, she used the Bluebell Fairy Edger, and she's got some wonderful texture on this card. She used the burgundy suede paper and also some gold metallic paper. She cut her image out of the burgundy suede, and then she die cut the image again, mostly just the wings, you know, sort of select an image portion of it. And she used, this is a clear glitter sheet. And see if I can peel some up here. I may not be able to do that when I need to on camera. But it's very clear, and so she used it on white cardstock. There we go. There you go. You can see right through that. So Debbie first put some white cardstock behind this, and then she die cut most of the fairy image. You don't need to do the entire thing, but most of the fairy using the clear sheet, and that gave her the wings. And then she just used some small scissors and cut those out. And then she's got a little bit of foam tape right back there to give them a little bit of a lift. I thought that was really beautiful. And the texture on this is lovely. Right, and probably my most favorite die is the Luna Fairy Edger. It is such a sweet die. And look at this card that Debbie made. It's gorgeous. I love how she die cut the entire card, and then she die cut just the moon from silver linen specialty paper, and then just glued that right over the top of the card image. And then on her little fairy here, she used some of the tri-blend markers by Spectrum Noir, and just sort of added some detail, just colored the flesh and the hair, and put a little bodysuit on her. And then this particular little item right here, the skirt, is white polka dot vellum, and she just took that pen and she just colored the vellum as well, and she even did a little bit of a torn edge along the bottom for that extra detail. How sweet is that? And then she also used some of the Cosmic Shimmer Luster Polish, and this particular color is Tantalizing Teal Luster Polish. And she also used, let me see, this one is Violet Vibe. So she colored the back of the card with the Violet Vibe, and then she just sponged on some of the Tantalizing Teal, and it has this really great shimmery background, which I love. And then just added a little bit of ribbon there. And I love how she put the ribbon at an angle. So she put it down here and then just pulled that bow over a little bit so that it wasn't interfering with the image here. Gorgeous. I love this card. So thanks for joining me today. I encourage you to check out the Money Saver on all of these dies. It's a fantastic deal. And as you can see, there's so many really precious images to make all kinds of different cards. So check out the Money Saver on the right side of your screen. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you take a look at the links below in the description. There's one to the Money Saver and also one to paperwishes.com, so you can check out all of our other craft goodies. Thanks for joining me today.